Who wants a pot of coffee? I just made coffee. You want a cup of coffee? Sure, there you go. Who wants coffee? Anybody else want coffee? Who wants coffee?
And now it's time for the man with the caffeine, the new tropics for the brain. It's Coffee with Mike. Hang in, hang tight, grab your cup, and let's get this thing started.
Welcome back to Java Chat, everybody. I just wanted to do a little prelude, something like that, to the podcast today, because this is like a part 2 where Damon Burton and I get back together and just kind of hang out, and we chat about a few things. Some of it about life in general, because he was kind enough to send me a gift, and because he had heard my mother was not feeling well, so he sent something to cheer me up, and it really did. And then we got to talking again about business, and he shares a lot of good stories, and I want you guys to listen to these stories because they teach a lot of great lessons, and we go back and forth. And guys, this one's like really, this is even less formal than normal. So wow, that rhymed. This is less formal than normal. So sit back, relax, and enjoy two good guys, two good friends just sitting back and really just chopping it up. All right. And thanks for stopping by and listening to Java Chat.
Ding dong.
There's the man.
Ding dong. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Look at that. We're rock and rolling. We're recording already.
Oh, that's normal. It's the moment I turn it on, I just let it record.
You
son of a
turned me
bitch,
on.
dude. Spoonful of comfort, huh?
Yeah.
Fucking A. I haven't opened all of it yet, but I started digging in. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. That is super fucking cool.
Yeah. You know, I ordered a while ago. And so, you know, I don't know how long it takes depending on where you're at. Cause you're
Showed up yesterday.
Did it? Okay, cool. Cause
Showed
the
up
tracking
yesterday.
just said today. And I was like, oh man, I hope he gets it.
Got it. It was funny because I get notifications. We have an Amazon hub. So I get notifications by email. Your package has arrived. And I'm like, I didn't order
Is this a
anything.
spam?
What the hell is this? Well, no, every once in a while, like my mom who lives with me, not right now, obviously, but she'll get like these books sent in a postal service, and we just keep sending them back because it's like, we don't need books, you know.
Like who sends them?
It's either Guidepost sends them, or it's a program that they have. They send the book out and you read the book, and then they send you an invoice to pay for the book. And it's like, but I didn't order this.
It's Columbia House?
No. It's Guidepost. Although Columbia House does sound quite familiar. Anyway, it's but yeah. So when that showed up, I asked everybody, did you order anything? And no, I didn't order nothing. I know. And I said, well, it's addressed to me, so that makes sense. And of course, yesterday I had 2 podcast recordings, and I had an appointment on the other side of town. And by the time I got home, it was like 6 o'clock. So I'm like, I guess I better go get this. I don't know what it is. And I open up, the door opens, and it's one of the lower, bigger doors. And I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't order anything. And then I see the name on it, and I'm like, spoonful of what? Somebody's fucking around. And so I bring it home, and I'm like, I'm trying to get settled in the house, and my son's looking at the box. I'm like, get a knife, cut it open, see what it is.
Get a knife.
Yeah, because you know, I'm like, you're standing by the box. I got to get shit done. Go ahead, just cut it open up. He opens it up. He goes, it's a spoon. I'm like,
it's just getting weirder by the moment.
yeah, it's like the box opens up. I'm like, is that it? He's like, it's a big box for a spoon. He goes, so there's some other stuff in here too, like some recipes. I'm like, okay, so this is a foodie thing. Obviously, somebody knows I'm a foodie. He goes, oh, here's a card. I'm like, fucking Damon, right on.
There it is.
I'm like, the mystery has been solved. It's now magic.
well, yeah. So I sent that, you know, and when I saw what was going on with your mom, and then unrelated to that, when we were booking this, and I'm like, I ain't sending you shit for your birthday. I did send you something. So I don't know when you're getting it, but I was hoping you would get it today.
I'll take it as both a birthday and a comforting gift. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
By the way, that guitar in the back, there's a copy of it here at my house.
Yeah.
Mine's as a Washburn.
I have no idea what it is. So did I not tell you the story about it?
I believe you did, but tell me again.
So when COVID hit, and like that first like 10 days, 2 weeks,
Right.
when everyone was just like, what's gonna happen? And I was like, I should probably get that guitar now in case like things slow down and everybody steals all the freaking guitars off Amazon.
Exactly.
And finally pick up learning guitar in case there's a downturn. That's where it's sat since I got it, because downturn never happened on my end.
Yeah, no. And in fact, I would think that in your end, it got, well, from your post, it's gotten busier. And that's a lot of what I want to talk about, because I've been following what you've been posting as far as the business side of stuff. I mean, we'll talk about some other things too, but I've been watching, and there's been a lot of stuff going on. We have a couple of projects on our end, same story. It's balls to the walls for some reason, even in the midst of all the craziness. At least for our stuff, it is. Both our businesses are service based online anyway. But in any case, I'm not going to do the normal intro. We're already here. We're talking. It's all good. I'm probably just going to fade it in with a commentary up front going, yeah, Damon came on and we just started talking.
Well, here. All right. Well, there's your intro right there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. We're in. Welcome to Java Chat.
Hey, everybody. I don't know when this is going to air, but as of the day we're recording, I owe Michael something. Michael, do you know what I owe you?
You owe me something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, usually I don't know, other than a song maybe for a happy birthday.
Dude, you nailed it. Happy birthday to you. All right, that's enough.
Yeah. I was going to start doing the mug swing. Unfortunately, there's no whiskey in it, so it's not Irish coffee. I can't really do this one with it.
Yeah.
I'll do that
Happy
later.
Birthday, man.
I appreciate it, brother. I really do. Never would I have thought that my 49th birthday would be spent thinking about my mother. However, it is what it is. By the way, she is slowly getting better. I think 2 days ago, she was actually able to lift her right arm. Previous to that, her right arm was almost immobilized.
Yeah, that's good, man.
That started. She's more active. She is talking a bit more. I know they're putting her through a lot of rehab, like 3 hours a day of rehab. So she must be tired.
Well, yeah, you know what kind of sounds like the silver lining, if there is any in this, is that like if she's making that much progress that fast, dude, that's good.
It's, what's funny is I used to be a personal trainer years ago, and when I would get people that come out from surgeries, there was always the rehab section, and then there was the personal training section. There was this huge gap between the two that was called reconditioning that no one had ever actually addressed on either side. So I learned this gap by experience of having a couple of clients and watching mom go through her minuscule changes on the rehab side. When she comes home, I'm fairly sure I'm going to be right in that spot. And it's still minuscule steps. They're a little more than usual. And obviously at her age, I'm not going to be expecting like huge jumps, but I'm fairly confident there's going to be a lot more care needed. And we're adjusting that as we go. But in any case, can you tell me a little bit more about the Spoonful of Comfort? Because I haven't dug into it yet. It looks like a foodie thing, and it looks like I might be eating really well for the next couple of days.
Yeah. Okay.
What's
so
the story?
He's asking about Spoonful of Comfort because I sent him a gift. Him just talking about his mom. I sent him like a sympathy gift, like, hey, thinking of you. And so what Spoonful of Comfort is, I actually could probably give you two stories. So one is the way I found out about them is, gosh, I don't know, 10 years ago, they were a client of mine.
Oh, cool.
And just blew them up, man. They were on Shark Tank, and we just crushed it. And so they've gone on to do like really big things, and it's like such a unique gift that I just still send it. And
it looks unique. I mean, first off, you don't open a box and just all of a sudden there's a spoon there. You just don't.
It's a ladle, bro.
Okay, it's a ladle. That's the truth. It is a ladle, and a very pretty one, by the way. It's just like that one's going to be hanging on the wall.
But that's the thing, like I've talked to people about Spoonful of Comfort, and they're like, what is it? I'm like, it's soup. And they're like, soup?
Are you kidding?
No,
oh my gosh, soups are amazing.
Now we got to go even back further. So the woman that started it, her name is Marty Weimer, and her mom had passed away from cancer.
Uh-huh.
And so when she was going through like the sunset phase, she just wanted to like help her mom out, and
Right.
was like, what's something that I can do that shows I care? And so she was like doing this soup thing, and then and so that kind of spawned, it was like
Sure.
this legacy for her mom.
Sure.
And so you talk about like, where they really found success is when they shifted their messaging from selling soup to selling an occasion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now it's more sentimental. But the thing about it, the reason why I say like, oh, chicken noodle soup, is because like, I don't blame you. That's what it sounds like, but it's not. It's like an unboxing experience. Their branding is so amazing. And you just open it, and like at the end, when you're done opening it, soup isn't even on your mind. You're just like, that was rad.
Yeah, no, so let me give you the initial thoughts when I first opened the box, because obviously, Kama got into it first, but he didn't move anything. And he's like, there's the spoon, the ladle. He didn't know any better. There's the spoon, and I was like, okay, cool. And then there's a flap covering the other side of the box that says "Love" by the spoonful, which I thought was absolutely amazing. Because honestly, soups were kind of intended to be that, love by the spoonful. If you really do a good soup, you can taste the love. You can do that. Being a foodie, I can say this. But then you get under it, and now there's other stuff inside there that just the bright color of yellow. It's very welcoming. It's very opening. It's very warm. And then you get the card, and then you get, there's a couple other promotional things, but you start seeing the box itself and what's in the box. And again, I haven't gone all the way down. I'm excited to do this, but you can just tell that this is something that was put together really to get you to open this and this at the same time as you're going down.
Yeah.
So I can totally get why you wouldn't be focused on the soup. You'd be just more like, wow, this is a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, and to add on to what you said, as you go through and as you remove those layers, everything is just like perfectly symmetrical or proportioned.
It is.
So it's like oddly satisfying in its alignment of everything.
Well, let's put it this way. The OCD in me is really enjoying the unboxing.
Well, I got to tell you one other funny story.
Yeah.
So I sent a client of mine, this was probably 8 years ago, and now he's a friend of mine. I sent him Spoonful, and I sent it to him like for like a Christmas thank you. Thanks for your business.
Sure.
And I sent it like 3, 4, 5 days before Christmas, because I figured people are going to check out of the office at some point. And I didn't hear anything from him. Like 2 weeks later went by. It's like now creeping up on the second week of January. And I messaged him, and I was like, hey, how things going? By the way, did you get that thing I sent you? Because I didn't want to like tell him what it was. I wanted him to get it. And he's like, oh my God, dude, that was you? I got to tell you the funniest story. So what had happened is they left like the week before. So it just, the delivery guy just like chucked it down the stairs. And so it cracked, and they were gone for 2 weeks. And so then it just rotted. So he's like, dude, for like 2 weeks, we're like, what is that smell? And we couldn't figure it out. And finally we went and checked out we went through the back door,
and that's where it was
creeping through, I guess. Yeah. And so it was just like creeping in, like leaching into the office, this funk. So now it's this funny story that we talk about years later.
Oh my gosh. That is funny though. I mean, can you just imagine that coming back to the office going, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Was that? It was locked, wasn't it? Did you leave the refrigerator open again?
He said there was something that, like, I can't remember what the tenant in the suite next to him was, but he's like, every once in a while there was like a smell, and like for a reason. And he's like, we thought it was that, and it was just way worse for some reason, but it just didn't go away.
Yes, the wonderful neighbors, the ones that make noise at weird hours of the night. There's too many memes and shit around that. So you posted something recently that really got my attention, and I think it was yesterday. And it had to do with, by the way, guys, if you guys haven't checked out Damon yet, what the hell are you waiting for? He posts Well, first off, you post not just the joys, but you also post the pains of being an entrepreneur, being in business. On LinkedIn, if you're not following him, follow him. And one of the things that you shared, I think it was yesterday, was the fact that you had kind of a trade out, two clients
Mm,
that
yeah.
had to move on, and then bringing on two new clients. And I found it interesting. By the Your energies just pull in whatever it's like, it gets replaced, but at the same time you're effective, so that just makes it even better. But when
Yeah.
you were talking about the loss of the two, I wanted to talk a little bit more about that, because I get the feeling there was a little more in emotions than what you posted, because it is a hard thing to lose a client and to face that, maybe it's no longer a fit, or maybe it just didn't work, or maybe there was something you couldn't do that somebody else could, which we face. We're not the SEO
Mhm,
experts of the world. We can do it, but we're not you. We're
mhm,
better on the AI stuff,
mhm.
and it becomes a slight frustration, and yet building the relationships correctly, you still end up with a friend. And
Yeah.
you can always talk with them, and they may come back to you and pick your brain at certain points in time, just to ask and see. And I've always done that with everybody. You get a marketing question, feel free to ping me. Information's free, you know.
Yeah.
But can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, how did that all go
Yeah.
down, and where is it now?
It's actually a really cool story. So, first of all, it was 2 days ago,
Hmm.
because yesterday wasn't yesterday. Yesterday, I posted my gangster rap album cover. Did you see my gangster
That's
rap
right.
album
I'm
cover?
sorry. You're right. It was 2 days ago. Yes, I did. I'm going to reshare that now that you reminded me.
So 2 days ago,
It was
yeah, I
pretty
posted.
badass too, by the way, just to be clear.
um, so the clients, so I get kind of like Michael started to imply. I have a genuine interest in relationships with my clients, and
Hmm.
a lot of marketing agencies, and I'm sure you can agree with this. It's like turn and burn, right? It's like high volume, good
That's the
sales
one thing that I
guys.
keep I keep trying to, I've always advocated for, get yourself 5 to 10 solids, leave the rest alone, because you're gonna do what you just said, turn and burn. Where's the relationship?
Yeah,
There's nothing left.
yeah. Well, it's as I touched on in the post. I still have our first dozen clients from
Yeah,
14 years
that
ago.
and that's the best, dude. That's
Yeah, like
so the best.
most people in our industry can't even say 14 months ago. You know. So anyway, so I had these two clients cancel. Our cancel rate's super low,
Hmm.
and when they do cancel, by far the majority of the time it's unrelated to performance, and that was the circumstance with
Yeah,
these two. So,
guys, let me be clear about something here with Damon. If you're not following him online, he's not pumping. Okay, let me make this real clear. His efficacy, as far as his skills and his business and his team, they don't screw around. They do really good work. So when he says they have a very low turn rate, it's because they do what they say they're going to do, and they get shit
mhm.
done. If somebody happens to leave, it ain't because of performance. There's some other extenuating circumstances going on. So this is
Yeah.
just me backing Damon, as the man knows his shit. So if you're not following him, go follow him. All right, please continue.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. If I feel like we're into a campaign and we're not delivering, then I'll opt out. Like I'll
Same,
say,
same.
So with these two clients, one of them was in like the way I position it in the post, because I didn't want to, say who it was. They work in kind of like swag. They do branded apparel,
Yeah, yeah.
and they do like really high volume orders. So it's
Hmm.
not just the
Yeah, it's enterprise
onesie
level
twosie
stuff.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had with COVID, they had with businesses kind of watching their dollar, their swag's gonna kind of hit the
And
chopping block.
yep.
And so it's been really interesting though with them, because they exploded in May, and then
Really?
it was, yeah, and then it was like they're kind of hit and miss. So I don't necessarily think there's anything going on. I think it's just where it is. But I talked to him about it, because like I said, I build relationships, so we just chatted about it. And he's like, yeah, it's really weird, we're up here, down here, up here, down here. And then when I looked at the analytics, their traffic is up almost double. Well, I shared it in the post.
Yeah,
Their
yeah, yeah. I saw the
online
traffic.
exposure was up almost double, but
May
people
May
just
was
aren't
May we were
buying,
still in the middle of lockdown, right?
a lot of this guy's overseas. Yeah.
Oh,
So he is,
yeah.
but most of his clients are in the States, but
I'm
because
just
he,
I was just gonna say, because if I remember around that time, I had heard some people talking about alternative measures to either engage new clients or appreciation of existing clients. It
well,
almost makes sense that his business kind of boomed there to me, since that was the month that
yeah,
people were
well,
talking about it. I mean,
his
I don't know.
isn't quite so much client appreciation, because you think client appreciation, that's going to be like 20 to 100 units,
Yeah.
something like that. He works with like Mountain Dew,
Oh,
when they're gonna buy
that's a full
like
brand push. That's yeah.
thousands, yeah.
Yep.
So those huge monster orders, like I think people are just like they're kind of repivoting or they're on pause.
Yeah.
So I'm not
Yeah.
worried, and he's not worried either. But he's like, I've talked to others in my industry, and they're kind of saying the same thing. So I'm not out, but let's just take a pause, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not worried. And like I said in the post, when people 50% plus of my clients that leave come back, either because it's like this where they're like, hey, I just need to hang on for a minute, or a lot of times what happens is I've had this one guy leave and come back 3 times, and every time, and I've had a couple other people leave and come back, and they go and they're like, and sometimes it's good because they're like, holy shit, like now I get, like what you were saying, Damon wasn't pumping me up. Like what he tells me is legit. And now I got pumped up by the other guys
Yep.
and I see it. So they come back and usually it's just, they come back once and then they get it. But this guy's funny. And he hasn't, the last time he came, he's still with us, but the last time he came back was like 3 years ago. So I think he gets it now.
Wow.
So,
I hope so. Geez, if he hasn't figured it out the third time, it's supposed to be the charm. But
yeah, but the interesting part of the story is I think it's unfolding, and I'm super excited to share whatever comes of it down the road, because the second client, I have a really just personal curiosity and vested interest in seeing their success. They are in a kids apparel industry, and they kind of made their own product. Well, they did make their own product, and so it's in its like they're creating their own market, but it's like it's really related to an existing market. So it's kind of hard to explain without calling out who they are. But so they're fighting against like billion-dollar brands for a position that doesn't exist. Like until people see their product, they don't know that product exists. And so we have to educate them and tackle the audience of parallel products, something really close, and be like, hey, did you know there's this other thing? And so they have they've made massive progress, and they're fighting billion-dollar brands. But one thing I pride myself on is just like transparency, and I'm like, this is going to take a long time. It's not your usual year of SEO.
we're facing the same thing with the spirits company, because of all of the new. For one, you got companies like Diageo and stuff like that pushing all the big brands, and then you got all these new ones. We've just we're talking
every
with
day there's a new one you're fighting against,
and they got these beautiful websites. They all suck, but they got these beautiful websites that have no SEO on them. And they're out there trying to pump a brand. Half the time they don't have their story straight. We're redoing the brand story for the spirits company just so we can educate people on what real rye is. So I get it. I mean, what is so? Is this?
I'm not done, bro.
No, I was gonna be like,
I got more of the story.
Yeah, please, because there's got to be more to this.
So I hit the guy up and I said, look, or I messaged him and I said, yeah, man, yeah, if we're gonna stop, that's fine. But and I just said the same thing I just told you. I'm like, I really have an interest in seeing this succeed. Can we just talk? And he writes back excitedly. Like I figured he'd said, yeah, I wasn't concerned about saying no, but he came back super excited. He's like, yeah, of course, man. And so I talked with him yesterday and I said, all right, what's going on? Is it you are spending more money on paid ads because it's more instant gratification? Because their product is a very visual thing, because you need to educate the audience that that it exists.
Sure.
I said, is it that, or is it that SEO takes time? And he's like, it's a little bit of both. And I know that SEO takes time. We knew that going into it. And I said, here's the deal. Like, I get that you haven't got your return yet. And those expectations were set, but I also understand that like it's exciting and sexy to get that return. But as we both know, you're fighting billion-dollar brands and you have to educate an audience that doesn't know your product exists. And so I sent him a screenshot of his progress. And I said, I know you've already seen this, but I want to kind of put this in context. I go, look, you're showing up here, and here, and here. They're not on page 1 yet, but you're on the freaking radar, dude. Like you're some on page 2 and then like a crap ton on page 8. I'm like, you're not going to get traffic from those. But me seeing like how close you are, that's money in the bank because you are fighting billion-dollar brands. Like that's a gold mine. And so I told him, this is why I'm excited to see where it goes in the future, because it reminds me of how I started my agency, which maybe that's the next story. But what I did is I said, tell me what you want to do. I said, I will do this for free for a year if you incentivize me. And I said, let's agree on goals. I will take the loss. If we don't make it, you're out nothing. If we make it worth my time.
Yeah.
Because you're going to kill it when we get to page 1. And so he's like, dude, I love it. Give me a couple days and I'll figure out where we can meet in the middle.
Yeah, we same story on our side with the spirits company, because I have a vested interest in the company because I've been with them for 2 years. Having the new LLC, literally one of the partners has put in all his time on building the site and getting the SEO and stuff in place. And he literally, it was a deal between him externally of the agency, because I said, I can't go back and charge conflict of interest for one. I said, why don't you go cut a deal with them? And his deal was, look, just cover me for this much and I'm in for the long haul. We'll get this thing selling. We'll get this thing moving. And on the back end, the CEO's like, don't you worry, I got you. And we're watching their sales starting to finally move. It's not huge yet, but it's moving.
It's moving, yeah.
So yeah, I think sometimes a lot of the new digital agency owners don't know this part of entrepreneurship like we do, which is, if I can see something like, I'm still vested in a tech company. I had a vested interest in them when I first came in. I was like, okay, look, here's what I'll do for you. Here's what I'm looking for. And he goes, well, how many shares do you want? I'm like, what's good? So we have our deal. Company's still rolling. I'm not active with them anymore, but I saw it as, look, this is a 9-figure deal. No one saw COVID coming, so it kind of affects it because they're in the meeting industry. But I'm sure they'll be able to pivot with some other things.
Yeah.
They've been improving. Even in the midst of, they've been improving. It makes sense sometimes to be vested in some way, either as a shareholder or take care of me on the back end.
Yeah.
As long as there's some kind of true interest and gut feeling, because I've also seen people do that wrong.
That's what I was just going to say. I was just going to say this is the first time I've considered a rev share in a long time, because it's
Those
not
can
that
hurt.
it's not that I'm against them, but the problem you run into is you got too many chefs in the kitchen. Like I can do all of my share and somebody else is going to screw it up for me. And so that's why I'm usually like, no, well, first of all, when we make it a success, you're going to be paying me a lot more money anyway. So you should probably just, take a step back. But second of all, I have no idea who's going to impact our incentive. And so I usually say no, but in this case, the potential upside is just massive that I'm willing to roll the dice on this one.
Well, you're also in a much more, it's obvious you're in a much more personal relationship with the business owner who makes the choices, which basically, and there's two things on that, because when I talked with the tech company guy, I knew he had some challenges of his own, because he's a sales guy. Now all of a sudden he's a CEO, and it's like, okay, you got some skills to learn. But even in the midst of all the challenges, I was like, this deal, if he can get over his ego, this deal is going to make money. And when it finally hits and they get the right team, this thing is going to explode. And last year they had their first profitable year, and they're only in year 3.
Yeah.
That's a good sign. Now I'm still waiting for him to step out. He's still looking for a good CEO, but he's picked up about 3 other people for the board that are not originators of the company. They weren't in the company at first. They came from other industries.
So they can bring the outside perspective.
And they're all solid people. So it's growing the way it ought to grow. I'm thinking 2021 opens up everything again, that we'll have more of the right people in place, and eventually he will step out and this thing will go nuts. That's the thing that you have to be able to tell. I think a lot of it deals with emotional intelligence, obviously, but you have a personal relationship with this person. You already know whether or not the ego is going to get in the way. You already know whether or not other people are going to get in the way. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes they come out of left field. But when you have that kind of trust, I think it's easier for us to be able to say, let's give it 90 days. Let's see where we're at, or let's give it 6 months, or let's give it a year, because we know where we can produce and where we can hit. In your case, I think I think this was the one yesterday, the fast traffic that you posted.
Mm.
While that's not the end game, there's some stuff you can do that can get you some good traffic right out the gate if you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, just to wrap that up, if you are thinking of doing a rev share, do not do it just because you see the potential. They need to see the potential. Their team needs to see the potential, and there needs to be a hole that you can fill. If you can fill that space, that void that they're actually lacking, and make sure there's one there, because if you try to force a wedge in there, it's going to be a problem. Then you have an absolute chance at contributing to success, being a part of the success, and benefiting from the success. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you got a good point that I didn't even really think about. He's a good dude, yeah. So there's certainly some trust there, and I didn't even think about it just because he's a good dude. So that's a good point. But yeah, and then he's also the type that is morally driven. So it's not like
that matters.
Yeah, because you have these other. I've talked about other podcasts about how years ago I had a VC company say, "Hey, let's roll you into this other company, and we're going to pay you third cash, third stock, third note." And I was like, "Nope," because
we all know how that one rolls.
Yeah, it's like your third cash is your only guarantee. The note, the stock and the note, like goodbye, because the stock, they're going to move you into a shelf corporation and it's going to go defunct, and then because it goes defunct, there goes your note. So I wouldn't have to worry about anything like that with this guy.
Here's a note for bankruptcy. Here you go. That's sometimes how that falls out. Trust me, I've run down that one too.
Dude, it's crazy how some business owners are just intended, like that's their game plan. Come in, take over, squeeze them out.
Well, that's VC and that's equity firms, and we can get into that in a second. Let's take a quick break for 30 seconds. Guys, we'll be right back. I'm sitting here with Damon Burton of SEO National. And we're back here, Java Chat, hanging out with Damon Burton. We're just talking, we were literally on the break, we were just talking about how this is like ironically, both of our only appointments for the day. He's not got any other podcast schedules. I've got no other appointments, no meetings, nothing else.
Doesn't mean I'm not busy.
Yeah, it's like we both got a ton of shit to do, and we're gonna be playing catch up after we finish.
Let's what was funny is how we connected. So you and I have chatted before on your Java chat, but then your like assistant was doing outreach and found my profile wherever.
Yep.
And shoots me an email, not knowing you and I not only have talked before, but are kind of friends. And so she's like, "Hey, check out Michael's podcast and you'd be a great fit." And so I write the assistant back and I'm like, "You have fabulous taste in guests." But we've already talked before, and Michael's like, "Fuck it, man, let's do it."
Brianna must have gotten a shit kick out of that. That had been funny. She's adorable. She's one of our interns. She's actually been managing the calendaring and the outreach and stuff like that. She does a really good job. Really proud of her. I don't know that she's going to be with us forever, because she has actually found something that she really enjoys, and I'd be remiss to ask her to stay if it wasn't going to make her happy. I would hope, because she's very efficient and she's very good at what she does. And so are the rest of the interns. We're excited. Let's put it that way. We actually found a group of Gen Zs that work.
If I've ever heard of a juxtaposition. You know what was interesting? So I was always in the middle. I always played the middle line on that discussion of Gen Zs, and I was like, I'm pretty neutral on just about everything. I'm like, it's not always black and white. Like anything, politics, religion, whatever.
It's never black and white. That's why I'm what they consider a moderate. I'm right down the middle.
Yeah. So, but
I play on either side just for fun, but it's just so I can shit post and shit talk. That's about it.
I did have my Gen Z moment though. This was like 2 years ago, and I was looking to hire a new copywriter, and so I'm on the board of advisors at one of the local colleges for their digital marketing curriculum.
Sweet.
And so we're at this little board thing, and part of the rounds at the end is like, anything we can do for you guys in return, the college asked us. And they said, "I'm looking for a copywriter." And I know that's not under the digital, for me, it's under the digital marketing umbrella, but for curriculum, it's not. And so they're like, "Well, let me talk to one of our language arts people and see." And so this guy makes the intro, and this person's like, I got the perfect candidate. They're fresh, this and that. And I go, oh my God, dude, I'm cringing just thinking about this. So I go and meet them. They were local. And so we go and meet. I talked to them on the phone or email or whatever. And I said, let's go meet at this restaurant. We'll grab a bite to eat. We'll get to know each other. I'll tell you about what this responsibility is looking to fill. Yep. And, you can tell me if you think it's a fit. And, obviously I'm screening their candidacy.
Sure.
And so we go, it was oh my, dude, for real, man. This is so I get the restaurant, I pull up in the parking lot and I get out.
Which restaurant did you go to? This is gonna set a good frame.
So it's a local restaurant. There's only 2 in Utah. It's called Roosters. It's like this micro pub, but they have like awesome food.
Yeah.
And so
pubs have a tendency to do a little better than most people think.
Yeah.
They
so
really do.
I go and right out the gates, like in retrospect, it was just such a Twilight Zone moment. So I get out of the car, and for some reason, I'm walking. I'm like, it really feels like someone's looking at me.
Oh, jeez. They were watching you go in?
No, dude, you're going to die.
Oh, okay.
And so, but at the same time, I'm not like a tin hat wearing kind of guy. And I'm like, whatever. And I just keep moving.
Right.
And then I get in and I meet the young lady and I'm like, come over here. And, we go sit down and she's just kind of awkward, which is fine. And so we sit down and she's like 18, 19, no, she was like 20, 21. And so we're talking and she's like, I got to tell you something. My parents were worried about me meeting you. So they're outside and they just texted me and said, I think that's him walking in. He's wearing this and that. And I was like, oh my God, I was being watched.
You had the gut feeling. That was
like
awesome.
Right off the bat, like red flags. Like,
yeah, all day.
Why is this 20-something-year-old having her parents drop her off? Why are they so insecure that she can't be by herself? Why is she okay with being that insecure? And so I'm just talking to her. And I just, I'm nice, but it's already a no just from that. Like, I need somebody that's independent. And so we're talking and she's like, so what does full-time mean? And I'm like, what? And she's like how many hours is that? And I'm like, 35 to 40 a week. Usually? Yeah. And she's like, okay, well, I don't have a driver's license or a bank account, so how would you pay me? I'm like, this is done. Oh. And so that was like, so I'm still in the middle on the whole Gen Z thing, but that was my first in-person real life experience. Like, okay, I get it now.
So my experience, obviously, I'm 49. Jeez, I'm 49.
You're fucking old, dude.
Fuck you. Anyway, So I've experienced boomers X, Y, Z all the way down the line. And the chatter has always been the same about each generation. And what I've learned is each generation has the spectrum. I don't care where you're at. What shows up a lot of times are the negatives, while the positives are usually quiet because it's par for the course. It's what's expected. So like when I've had millennials that didn't do jack, and I've had a couple millennials that were phenomenal. One who now works for Sleep Number, I believe in corporate, and she and I are still friends to this day. She flew from North Dakota. She was going to NDU. She flew from North Dakota to Las Vegas, held down a job while she worked as an intern for me here. Floored me. Went home. Went through the whole, the university called me, asked what I did, and I gave them the rundown. At that time, I was working for the Angel Investment Group and said, yeah, this is what she did. Went down the list. They're like, wow, she did more than she needed to. I'm like, do you need proof? Because I've got the work. They're like, no, we're good. She sends me pictures of her degrees. Off she goes.
Yeah.
3 more after that. Didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
I got Gen Zs this round, 6 of them, and they're all cranking while they're holding down jobs.
Yeah.
All of them. And it's like, the reason I picked up 6 is like, I know you guys have work to do and you got other stuff. I need to make sure that one, I can't give them more than 8 or 10 hours of work a week because they're interns until I flip them. Secondly, it's like they got a life. If somebody can't do it, I have to have the resources to cover what projects we have. So we do. We all cover each other. They all talk with each other. At first, it was just kind of everybody getting used to each other. And then there are the Gen Zs that are absolutely like what you had. So it's not, I don't call it a generational thing, because we only see the stuff that's odd, awkward, out of place, or just out.
Well,
like that one.
it's just, yeah, it's the same circumstances. It's just different things. Like
Yeah.
it's, you know, it's
How many
what,
employees have you come across like that, dude? I mean, it doesn't matter what generation they are. I mean, just
oh,
employees
dude,
in general.
my employee approach.
Okay,
Oh,
now here's the next section, ladies and gentlemen. Get ready. Here it comes.
you just did open up a new
Oh, do it,
discussion.
dude.
Dude, I would put my team loyalty up against anybody's. And here's what makes this even more amazing is go back 6 months. And my longest employee has been with me for 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to 6 months, so I have 20 employees, about half of them are in the States, half are in the Philippines.
Right.
6 months ago, I had never met any of them in person. I still have not met any of the ones in the States. And I met about 75% of the ones in the Philippines in March. And
I saw you post about that. That was cool.
Yeah, I brought them. So there's so many things I talk about the Philippines trip, but I'll just talk about one thing. I brought them snow because they're always talking about like,
How the hell did you take snow all the way out there?
Well, I'll tell you. So, so it's, you know, it's obviously more tropical climate there.
Yes,
and in the winter I complain about how cold it is here, and they're like, well, here's some sunshine, and they're like, send us some cold, because they're just like sweating to death, and I'm over here like, so
you asked for it.
Yeah. So they've always joked about send us some snow. So what I did is I went and bought some souvenir Utah shot glasses, like 8, 9, 10 ones with different scenes, but they all said Utah on them.
Yeah.
And it snowed because I went and met them in the first week of March. And so like January, February, I bought the shot glasses and filled them with snow.
Right.
Of course, the snow is going to melt.
Yeah.
But what I did was I filled them with snow, took pictures of the snow so they would believe me, and then I sealed it with hot wax.
Oh, cool.
And so it sealed the snow, the melted snow, the water in there. And so when I went and met him, I got this cool picture of us in the hotel, and we talked and gave hugs, and then we were walking out to go have dinner, and then I was like, oh, I forgot something. Like I'd been so excited to give it to him that I just like totally forgot in the moment of actually meeting them. And so I was like, come back. So we come walking in, they're like, I go, I got something for everybody. And they're like, what is it? Oh, what is it? And one of them said, he brought us snow. And I just freaking bust up laughing. And so I was like, dude, you're not wrong. And I put him in a padded envelope. And so I gave him the shot glass with the melted snow in it. And then I had taken a picture of each one too.
Yeah, you got to have the
with
photo.
the snow before it melted. And so I said, I just laid them all out on the bed. And I said, take whichever one you want. Here's a picture and here's a shot glass.
Dude, that's so. See, those things first off, that wasn't a small thing because that took some effort, but it's little things like that breed loyalty like nobody's business. Like any new swag we create out here, I try to get out to our team as much. In fact, you just reminded me, I got to send out coasters. You got the coaster I sent you, right?
Coaster? I don't think so.
I thought I sent you a coaster.
What does it look like?
Like that?
No.
Say what? All right.
You dick.
I'm gonna have to send you some shit. Yeah, I'm a dick. It's true.
But yeah, I've never had an employee quit. I've fired a few, very rarely. But
that's another thing about hiring and firing is a lot of people still, and this has been pumped on by quite a few different people. Hire slow, fire fast. And I don't think people understand the effects of your business if you don't. I mean, like taking the time that you did and taking the time that I do, going through people and figuring out who they are, what they're about, and then watching. And watching me too. I mean, we did a performance review like in the second month with our interns. It's almost time to do it again. Right after seasons, they'll get another survey. But the idea is, if we're not on the same page, our clients are going to suffer.
It just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
I think for the, and sometimes it's not even a skill set thing. They might be the best whatever on the planet, but it just doesn't work.
Vibe, yeah. Yeah, no, that's why when we started this hiring conversation, I was joking you opened up a whole new discussion because you nailed it. Like I way front load my efforts. So when you say, what's your experience with employees and their consistency, dude, I have zero problems because I make sure it's way worth spending way more worth spending a lot of time being very methodical and strategic and observant in hiring than to just die by 1,000 cuts later and have disasters to clean up. So I'd way rather. So here's the short version of how I hire. So when I put out the job listing, I structure the posting in a very strategic way. So at the top, I put like, hey, here's all the sexy things, here's the fun responsibilities you'll have, and then I jump down to the bottom and I put here's your compensation, and then in the middle I put an Easter egg. And so, because people are always like, what are responsibilities? How much am I going to get paid?
Yeah.
And so in the middle, I put, don't message me on this job platform. I'm not going to read it. My preferred method of communication is Skype. And when you Skype me, you have to send me the message that, T-Rex has sexy arms, like just something stupid that nobody would ever message you. And then, so what I'm looking for is A, people that can read, B, people that can follow directions. And so I've made the mistake in the past of people would message me on the job board, even though I told them not to. And I'd look at the resume and I'm like, ooh, that's a good resume. And so I'd follow up and it just never freaking works. And so that's like your first safety net is set up a little game, a little Easter egg. And then when they reach out to you, when they message me on Skype, they may message me on Skype, but if they don't tell me about how sexy T-Rex's arms are, I don't reply.
Yeah.
And then once they get through that, then I do like a paid test because I also want to be respectful. I don't expect people to just come in and make an effort and if it doesn't work out. So I'm like, here, how does this much compensation sound for a one-time thing? If it doesn't work out, that way you didn't waste any time.
Right.
But at least I can really see, because anybody can put anything on a resume.
Yep.
I almost don't even care about the resume. I just want to go like, okay, yeah, they have the general experience. Now prove it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have them do the test. Whatever their skill set is, the test will vary. And then, so as you go through this, you get 100 applicants, 50 of them don't follow the rules and they message you directly on the platform. That sweet, 50% gone.
Yep.
Then 25 of the 50 message you on Skype or whatever your preferred method of communication is, but they don't tell you how sexy T-Rex's arms are. Sweet, there's another 50%.
Yep.
So then you reply, you have a short engagement. For whatever reason, half of the people don't say anything more than hi. There goes the other half.
Yeah.
And you're down to like 5-10 people. Give them the paid test. Half of those people won't complete it. Another 25% of them that don't do it efficiently. And now you're left with like 2 or 3 people. And then I just have a conversation with them. And then
I wish we would have known you back when I was in the Angel Investment Corp, because that was my job, was finding new talent. Alongside of finding new deals. I mean, whenever we got into a project, it was like, okay, you don't have enough people here. I remember we worked on a project here. We had something like, I want to say 100 or 100 and something applicants. Obviously, here in Vegas, it's a lot more transient. So I think it was more like 65% didn't even bother to show up for the appointment time. Of the ones that were left, I think maybe we had 1 or 2. It's really bad. 1 or 2 that were worth hiring.
Yeah.
2 more that we wanted to but couldn't because of their backgrounds. And the 2 that were worth hiring never showed up for the second appointment.
Yeah, you see the weirdest stuff in the hiring process.
It is really odd. I've got some friends in HR. You should hear some of their stories. Oh my gosh.
I bet.
Yeah.
I'll give you one. I'll tell you one.
Yeah. Go.
I'll tell you one thing I did. Me.
Yeah. Oh, you. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, I'll tell you two. So before I started my company, one job that I ended up getting when I went into, it was the weirdest thing. This guy just called me out of nowhere. I was working at just this normal whatever job, and I get a phone call on my cell phone, and I didn't know the number, so I answer, and the guy's like, "Hey, I'm a headhunter, and I found your resume on Monster," and I'm like, dude, I didn't even know I still had my resume on Monster. Last time I touched that was like 3 years ago.
Right.
Cool, whatever. Because the job I was at was just a job.
He was a digger.
Yeah, and so I end up going and meeting this guy for the interview, and while we're talking, we're face to face at a table. We're like 3 feet apart, and we're like 5-10 minutes into it, and then all of a sudden he's like brushing his nose, and I'm like, and he's doing it long enough that clearly it wasn't just.
It wasn't an itch.
Yeah, and so
Well, it
like,
wasn't that kind of itch.
yeah, and so I go.
Because I recognize that motion. That's not a
No,
good motion.
no, it's not cocaine.
Okay, well, 'cause that's usually what they do too. That's
No.
almost exactly what they do.
So then I go, do I got something on my nose? And he's like, yeah, bro, sorry, I just couldn't do it anymore. You got like a fat booger, like, right. So I was just like, all right, let me take care of that. What's funny is I still, it's been like 15, 16 years, and I still talk to that guy every other year. Like, we just stayed in touch. And
how can you not? I mean, after something like that happens, how can you not stay in touch with somebody? Hey, man, how you been? It's Booger Boy.
Like that one you would think would sound embarrassing. I actually don't, I don't care about that one. The one that was kind of embarrassing looking back was, this was like after that job. No, this was right before. So this was right before that job. I didn't get this job I'm about to tell you, but later, ironically, I came back to that company and I did get a job with them at a higher level. So it's kind of funny. So I didn't tell them this story I'm about to tell you.
I should hope not.
Until after I got hired.
Attaboy.
So I get this is when I was starting to get into internet marketing, and there
Right.
was a job at this design agency, and I got my wisdom teeth pulled.
Ooh.
And then all of a sudden they call me for a job interview. And so same kind of thing, like my phone rings, I don't know who it is, and I answer. And I'm like,
Wait,
oh,
like you literally, I was about to say, like, you literally just had him and you answered the phone anyway.
yeah.
Oh, geez.
Well, I don't know if it was like the same day, but it was within like 48 hours, 24 hours, something.
Oh, yeah,
And,
you're still hurting.
Yeah, I still had the mouthful of cotton, and so she's like, yeah, we just got your resume, and I want to know if you can come in. And I was like, yeah, sure. And so I go in there, and I was just like, I was relatively confident, not at the level I am now, but I think I was confident, but a little stupid. And so it was like, it was in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm confident. I don't care they got my resume. Instead of like, I'm confident, but that's stupid, Damon. And so I go into this interview, and I still got the puffy chipmunk cheeks.
Oh my gosh.
And I sit down, and I don't really rationalize this until in retrospect. And she's just like, are you sure you want to do this interview? And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm literally like mumbling like that. And I never heard back from him that round.
That's just that's hilarious. So I can imagine the after conversations after.
Oh yeah.
Well, he had balls. He showed up even though he had his, wisdom pulled.
There was definitely a conversation after I left.
I don't know if we should hire him though. That's a little too much balls. I think.
Yeah. I was their Gen Z, or they're like, fuck that guy.
My gosh. That's too funny. Yeah, I know that I've had a few job interviews in the past. Nothing as funny as that, but it's for me, it's always been the unknowing, intelligent native being a little too smart for his own good, and not knowing how to shut up, and that was my downfall back then. Is sometimes I would let out a little too much, and then those above me would be like, "Yeah, he's got to go."
Yeah.
Been through that, done that. It's one of the reasons why I'm psychologically unemployable, because I don't have a problem telling you what I think.
It's a gift and a curse. Yeah.
Well, for us as business owners, it's a gift.
Yeah.
It lends to our transparency. As an employee, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Even in the mid-level, mid-senior level management, you got to watch that one.
Yeah, especially depending on the industry.
Exactly.
Sure.
You just you offend the wrong person, and so out. We in fact, I just was just having a conversation with somebody who I'm becoming friends with really quick. He has a SaaS company. They have a product that works very well, and we all got on a call, our partners and him and his marketing guy, who heads up his marketing. The moment somebody tells me that, it's like, it's a contractor, but they acted like they were a partner.
Dude.
It's okay. I catch. One of the nice things about being an empath is you can feel shit even through a phone call or a Zoom call. It's really interesting.
For real.
And some of his comments and then his silence told me everything.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
I reached back out to him and I said, hey, let's just a couple owners, let's get on the phone and talk. And we did. We had a great conversation. He really appreciated the fact that I wanted to come back and talk. And I said, hey, I need to ask you something, only because I'm a little concerned. And I asked him, I said, is this person really your partner? And he's like, no, there are no partners. It's just me. I was like, so this is a contractor. He goes, yeah, everybody's is an independent contractor. And I was like, makes absolute sense. Here's what I saw. And he's like, yeah, well, I already told him I'm going to tell you how to do it. You're just going to figure out how to get it done. And I was like,
Dude.
Sounds like an owner to me.
You know what? I was rolling my eyes when you were talking about this guy because I see this every once a year, twice a year. You know what I call it? I call it new sheriff syndrome. And so
I love it.
So I'm going through it right now. I got this new technology client, and they had their marketing guy, and he was a contractor, but he's super cool. I like this guy.
Yeah.
And because he was actually on our side, where it's like, let the experts be the experts, and I'm just going to support them when they ask me to.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden we get the owner of the company brings in the good old boys, and so the new VP of whatever brings in his good old boys, and so then there's all these new sheriffs rolling in, and we get in.
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
Well, they just got to prove their worth, and so they're in there like trying to look for any gaps and this and that. And so we get on this meeting, and we have the old contact, the guy he's still in the picture, but he's slowly getting phased out. And then the new guy, who's like this super amateur guy, and he's overseas, which is fine being overseas because
it's the super amateur guy. Why I said it's.
Yeah. No, but I mean the combination of the super amateur guy and being overseas and him needing to prove his value. He comes in and we're on call number one, and it's just cringeworthy. He's like, so we're talking about SEO stuff, and he's like, did we do keyword research? I'm like, yeah. Here's the files, and then bring up share my screen. He's like, well, did we look at competitors? I'm like, yeah, here, and he's like trying to find something, right?
Yeah, they don't dig in a manner of, because if in all honesty, anybody that isn't an amateur would have reached out to whoever it was first before the call and said, hey, I just want to get with you, find out what you guys have already done, so that when we get on the call, I can be at least a little more productive. To support you and what you're already done. If you've done all of this stuff already, I can go looking for other shit to do. I don't need to mess with it. But every time, and this happened with the other side too, the one I was just telling you about, I start talking about AI and first party data and identity resolution. He starts going off track, and he says a couple of things, and I was just like, yeah, he doesn't know what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But he's trying to down it though. You can hear it, and I'm like, bruh.
Well, we get off the call. The old guy sent me a private.
I'm sure he was sitting there going, I'm so sorry, dude.
He did. No,
that's what I thought.
He sends me a message, and he's like, it was just short, like, dude, or something like that, And so I get off, and I send him a message like on LinkedIn, so it's like off their
away from everything.
Platform.
Yeah.
And I go, I kind of got the vibe you wanted to talk. And so he calls me, and he's like, I am so, like, F-bomb tirade. Like, I am so fucking sorry, dude. He goes, that was embarrassing that guy came in and asked all those basic questions and this and this and this. And I've been through that, plenty of times. So
we all have. Yeah.
So I come back, and I try to, I give the guy the answer respectfully, but also reinforcing, like, don't step on my toes, bro.
Yeah.
And then, but another perfect example is why this always fails is because we had this one company, I won't say who they are, but massive international real estate company.
Yeah.
And they were worth, more than tens of millions of dollars. And then within a couple months of us working with them, they were valued at $100 million. And so
nice.
New sheriffs come rolling in. We get phased out. 6 months later, they're bankrupt and in administration. 6 months from $100 million to bankrupt.
So it's not the first time I've seen that or heard that. This happens a lot in startups. um, especially because the guys that call themselves startup experts are anything but.
They're just fundraisers.
They're fundraisers.
Get the money.
They really
burn it,
don't.
get
They
more
really
money.
don't understand. And don't get me wrong. There's a place for equity firms. There's a place for VCs. There's a place for angel investors. A lot of startups don't know the difference between the three, the purposes for each one, and how to deal with each so that you don't end up BK. And when you and it could be something as just one element, like what moving you guys out and bringing another team in that don't really know what they're doing. By the way, if you are one of those guys that's a new sheriff, please don't do what we're describing. Jesus, save yourself the embarrassment, save yourself the headache, save them the headache, and just listen.
Just be honest. Yeah.
Just be honest. Like, listen, I don't know what you guys have done. I don't know what you haven't done. Is there some way we can collaborate for info so I'm not, one, stepping on toes, two, double efforting anything? Because the moment you start asking those basic questions, you've now doubled the effort on something that's already been finished. That is not value to your client. I don't care what you say. I don't care if you think you're better than they are and you're just trying to check up on somebody. For one, I didn't do that when we were on that call. I was just like, look, I know this is what you got. Cool. Awesome. It works. We have nothing to say. I'm not touching it. I don't want your job. Here's what we do. And this is where we think we can benefit you the most. And if that fits, awesome, we'll do it. If it doesn't fit, awesome. Love you. Call us if you ever need us. I'd rather not have a problem child. But for somebody out there who considers themselves an expert, let me roll my eyes to the back of my head again. Don't get too full of yourself. There are other people out there that have other things that will help enhance what you're already doing. Bring them in. Make them a part of the fam. Just dig into them and learn everything you can. You're not going to lose your position. If you've been effective already, you have nothing to worry about. If you haven't, well, maybe then you may want to think about it, but don't try to ruin your owner, because your owner is going to turn around and just can your ass anyway.
I gotta tell you, I got this new lead that I'm nervous about because
you want me to prospect them? I'll troll them.
No, I know the answer is already a no, and I don't know why I'm still considering them a yes. I really don't know why. I don't know if it's just because it's like this new sexy company and it'd be like a cool portfolio line item or what. Like, it is just screaming red flags, and they're just making me go through the rounds of RFPs and all this bullshit. And it's like, look, we're good at what we do.
Who the fuck does RFPs anymore? Jesus, are you kidding me?
No. And so I haven't heard from him in like 2 or 3 weeks. I just get an email yesterday and it says, hey, we want to proceed to the next round. I'm like, oh God.
Do people really understand what RFPs are really for? You know what that really, other than the enterprise.
Government? I don't
exactly.
know.
It's a government piece of paper that sits there and tells you a whole bunch of shit that never gets done. You want to know how I know this? I used to work for a construction company back in Maui. We used to look at RFPs that were this freaking thick. The civil would go through it, and I'd look at him. I go, do you really read all that? He goes, nah. These are the pages I really look at. And I'm like, then why do you keep thumbing through it? He says, because I got to look like I'm busy.
Yeah.
So what the hell is the rest of it
so
for? He goes, it's just a bunch of malarkey. It's just words.
It's so painful. Yeah. And so it's like, so they said, hey, we want to move to the next phase, which is cringe. And then I can't remember what else they said, but they said something like, they said, can you provide I got to get it. I got to read it. Cause
pull it up, dude. We got time.
The words that they used was just like the nail in the coffin. And I don't know why I'm still considering it. I'm going to regret it.
Well, while you're looking for that, we're going to take a quick 30-second break. We come back. We'll dig into this. We'll dig into this email. Should be
got
good.
It. It's ready.
See you guys in just a minute. As soon as you pull it up, let me know.
I got it.
Okay. Dude, this is what I want to do right here. Because this is
just bullshit.
This is no, but these stories and this is the real, as much as it's bullshit. This is the real shit. This is what people have to deal with, and this is what people are wanting to hear. How do you deal with this? Where's the real?
Yeah.
I can only do so much in an hour.
They really said RFP. I didn't know that. I didn't really think.
I can't believe that anybody would do that.
So,
you're not listen, unless you're like a 9-figure company. And even if you are a 9-figure company, an RFP, all it does is fuck up your whole process. It never gets shit done.
You know what makes this worse? I'm going to read this in a minute. You know what makes this worse? I was so cringed out that I didn't even read the whole thing. And looking at it now, they even gave me, can you please have a plan by November 4th EOD?
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, they want end of day, certain day. Like I'm really
Oh, I
considering.
know what EOD. I was just like, I'm sorry,
I'm
what?
really considering writing back and saying I can just tell this isn't a match. All right, so here it says.
Oh,
Here's
hold
what
on.
it says.
Let's get back in. 3, 2. All right, guys, we're back and we're about to get into this email
I
that
thought we
Damon
were
just.
rolling, man. That was good stuff.
Yeah, it
You
was
were
great
talking about
stuff.
how good this is, and people need to hear this.
People do need to hear this, guys. So we're talking about a truly cringeworthy proposal that was sent. Request for proposal, which is usually only done by government entities or enterprise companies that are like 8 or 9 figures. I don't know that these guys are anywhere close to this. So they're
a startup.
They're a startup.
Yeah.
So they've got somebody who's academically intelligent and trying to make themselves sound intelligent. And we're about to hear the email that Damon got asking for him to continue
This is stressing me
their
out, dude.
next round. And I said this would be good for a laugh. So let's hear it.
Damon, thank you again for your patience and for submitting a proposal. We are interested in moving forward on next steps in our RFP process. For the next phase, we are asking you to create a 3-month plan timeline that is tactical, specific, and allows us to understand how you would hit the ground running with X. Please note, for this exercise, we ask you to assume you would be working with our own content agency, not sourcing the content arm internally from your agency. We will then ask your team to present the 3-month plan to us with our manager for discussion. Can we please have this plan by November 4th EOD? Dude, reading that full thing, that's a no. That's a no.
First line would have already been a no for me. And
Yeah.
Here's why.
I'm out.
The moment somebody gets academic, I already know they don't know what they're talking about.
No.
Most times. There are some that really do. But unless they've actually had experience in startups, that first line, I'm out.
Yeah. Like fact that if I got to prove what we do, the fact that you were introduced by a referral that had a home run and you're aware of very clearly what we do, you already have an out. I've already given you the outline that you're asking for. It was proactively in the proposal.
Yep. Yep. My biggest concern, that's a problem child in the wings right there for sure. Yeah. So a no, I'm agreeing with you. A no is a no. When I was the investment manager for the angel group that I was working for, I used to hang out downtown Las Vegas, down near the Zappos area, and there were a lot of great tech kids that were coming up with cool ideas and products and stuff like that. And
is that place still around?
No, the user lib's gone. It's been gone for a while. They've completely redone downtown, and it's got a real nice renaissance going on. But no, that's all gone. The interesting thing is that when I came across people that had products, for the most part, one, they didn't even know what they were doing. They knew tech, but they didn't understand business. But I came across one group that created a new social network app.
Mm-hmm. We need more of those.
We do, because we don't. There's just not enough. Mm-hmm. They had a great app. They had a great They had a yeah.
We were both so good at that.
Yeah,
we were both so good at that. That I don't know if people know how to take that comment.
They either will or they won't. One of the two. But it was interesting because I had a meeting with the core team, which was 3 people. Then they were the CEO and their chief technical officer and stuff. And I was like, okay, whatever. What do you got? And they showed me the thing. I said, well, this looks like a good idea. I mean, you've got a hell of a gorilla to fight against, but if you can carve out enough of a market, where do you see your revenue coming from? They had an idea. It was perfect for an angel because there was no POC, no proof of concept. So I said, okay, well, let's get this to a phase of, do you have all of this stuff on paper? Yeah, we pretty much do. I says, okay, cool. Send me, an NDA. I'll take a look at it. If I think it's worth it, I'll take it to the group. They said, well, we need you to meet our investor relations person. Who? Well, we have an investor relations representative. You do? Yeah. All right. Have her reach out. They did. And they said, well, their first email, and I just basically cut my throat, guys. The first email that comes across, I'd like to set up an appointment to sit down and talk with you and learn more about you and what you like to invest in and this, and it's all directed at me. And I wrote back, I said, I'm sorry, I'm not understanding your request here. I was told you'd be reaching out to me to help me get the documents I need to be able to, oh, well, we don't know if we want to work with you. We need to know that there's a fit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? I'm the investment manager. I'm the gateway to the money. 185 angel investors representing 9 figures.
Yeah.
You want to know me?
Yeah.
I'm not the guy you want to know. Second, what do you think you're doing here? I mean, you honestly believe that your position, you have no proof of concept. You have no foundation. You have nothing but an app. You actually think you're in a position to start acting like you have the choice to who you work with? Really? This is interesting. Please tell me more. I ended up going back to the CEO and telling him, yeah, we're done. And he goes,
Yeah.
well, what happened? And I laid out the emails. And he goes, oh, let me talk to her. I said, no. You don't have to talk to her.
Yeah.
I'm out. So's my 9 figures. We're good. Thank you very much for your time. And I haven't talked to him since. And the idea is, you can't look a gift horse in the mouth. And truly, it was a gift horse deal because I was ready to put their deal on the table until they brought that other person in.
You know what? I put it in our contracts. I literally have a clause that says too many chefs in the kitchen. And it says, if at any point you bring in another person to work on the scope of our responsibilities, whether in-house or
otherwise,
we're out and you're buying the contract out.
It's only fair, because the only thing that, and I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners that know this, but there are a few that probably don't. The only thing that more people working on the same scope of work ends up doing is creating confusion.
Dude, you want to know? I got a perfect example. So
Cool.
I got this friend that I actually got 2 stories with him. One about VC, so I'll do the VC one later. So on the topic of too many chefs in the kitchen. So he comes in, he works with a lot of brands, he does a lot of investments, he does his side projects. So this is one of his side projects. And he's like, hey, I want to blend my network, make this website that basically does like a tech stack. And so we can connect you with certain providers, with certain discounts, because we have certain relationships. And so his partner, he's got like I'm guessing 50-50 partner on one of his entities. And he's like, my partner doesn't want to do this. I told him, whatever, take out, offset my compensation until it pays for itself. Like, I don't care. I think this is going to work.
Right.
And so his one friend's just all against it. So him and I are just working directly, and we build out the site, we launch it. And then, like 2 weeks ago, so this was like maybe 2 months ago. So like 2 weeks ago, I was telling somebody else about this cool site we launched, and we're going to be doing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And the site's broken. And so I'm like, they gutted the custom design. All the SEO content we added is gone. It's got a template WordPress website now. And so I email my friend and I was like, what happened? And he writes back and he says your word. He says, too many Chiefs, man. And so he's like, we'll talk about it another time. And so what was funny or ironic about this whole thing is that the dude that didn't want anything to do with it
had to have been him.
Now comes in and he's like, fuck yeah, but we need to take a different approach, and just broke the whole thing.
Yeah, he basically screwed his own pocket by doing that. There's one thing you never ever do. If you've already got something growing, this isn't a bonsai tree. You got to let it grow on its own. If it's already moving in the right direction, you can't go changing the direction and thinking, oh, we're going to pivot. Fuck, if the thing's working, you don't pivot. You don't fix what ain't broke.
Dude, it's been sitting there for weeks now, just dead.
Oh,
it
I'm
looks
sure.
Like shit.
I'm sure.
Like it's still a WordPress template.
What is it? There's an old cliche saying around that. Cut your nose despite your face. It's an old yeah, literally, you have a perfect face and you cut your nose off. That was really smart. The intent to try to make yourself the right and ends up losing a huge treasure because you have to be right. That's complete egotism.
Well, this same guy,
or egoism, excuse me.
This that same guy ties into the VC story with the same two people, but for one of their other entities. So they picked up there was this huge brand that was backed by SoftBank that went defunct. And then they picked them up for pennies on the dollar. And so him being my friend, I help him out with what I can, restoring the website, pulling backups, whatever. And just simply by reestablishing their historical backups, their traffic doubled literally within a week. And so then the same homie that is super robotic about his actions, like this is the path we do with everything. And he comes in and he took on VC money, which I get because he had to get this funded. Like it was just because of pennies on dollar, it doesn't mean it still wasn't millions of dollars.
Right.
And so
It could literally be pennies.
yeah. So he takes on these investors, and that's a whole other discussion too, is just the type of personality that are investors and them squeezing every dollar out. My friend's done enough of these VC deals that he knows it comes with the territory, but I could feel the dissatisfaction in his quality of life dealing with these people, and he'd only been dealing with them for like 3 weeks. And so he ends up, like they just consumed him so much, and that he's financially, he made an awesome move. Like he's getting out. But so I mean, this was a short window. This is like a 6-month train wreck, and I imagine it was emotionally traumatic. So, but it's going to be worth his while for just a 6-month thing. But man, what an intense, like freaking mental mind screw.
When a VC gets involved in a business, to my understanding, we were actually looking for VC for the tech company before I stepped out. We talked with about, I think, as a group, we talked with about 3 different funds. We hadn't had POC yet. He was actually supposed to be talking to angel investors, and I had taken him to the old group that I worked for, and they weren't interested because it wasn't really an app. It was more of a physical product paired with an app for meeting space, and it ended up looking like kind of like a WeWork. Speaking of SoftBank.
I heard they're like bailing them out. I haven't looked it up though.
They are still bailing them out. They whole nother conversation.
Were they with them? Yeah, we don't need to get down on it. But were they with them before COVID or only after?
Oh no, they've been with them for a while. SoftBank's actually pulled them out of the floor a couple times. A
couple times.
Yeah, it's not gonna get into it, but
yeah.
The idea of it is that when you go to a VC, you literally are giving up a lot of executive control. And yeah, the personality is out the window, but you're going to be giving up a lot of executive control, and that's just how it is. It doesn't matter what VC you're with.
And you know what was interesting?
What was that?
Go ahead.
What we found interesting about VCs is that they'll come in and they'll replace the whole crew, and they'll keep one guy, and that's the guy they lean on. They keep a key employee or a couple of key employees, but the weight of the world's on their shoulders until everybody else is trained, and then they can leave. And that can be a shit one, like your buddy just went through.
Yeah,
because you don't get a break.
Even if they take, like, even if you're giving up equity and control, in this circumstance, on paper he wasn't supposed to. Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. They're coming in. And they're just like pushing their opinions so hard that it doesn't matter if they have a right to push it or not. Like, it's going to happen. It's literally when you get a VC, it's the same thing as opening up the gate for the steers, and they're all longhorns and they're coming. Yeah, that's fair. And you ain't got a horse to ride on at that point. You're just standing there waiting for them to come. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Yeah. It's not always fair, and there are legal problems down the line that sometimes happen, but that company is going to make a profit one way or another, even if they have to bully their way through it. It's really bad. I don't really appreciate the model that some VC firms take. Not all of them are like that. When they just bully their way through, and then turn around and go, "But we made profit." Yeah, but at the expense of what? Yeah, you've no culture anymore. I mean, and this is just my experience. When Marriott bought out Ritz-Carlton, Ritz-Carlton used to have this thing called a Green Book training, which was probably the most employee empowering training I had ever seen in my life. Marriott wasn't even close to it at that time. I don't know what they are now. When Marriott took over, shit went out the window. Yeah.
The employees couldn't do what they were able and empowered to do previously. It was a full culture switch.
Yeah.
But that's how it works. I mean, that's just the way it rolls.
I think it's interesting that I always find it fascinating how many people are obsessed with funding. Like, I got an idea, I need money. I got an idea, I need money. No, you don't. Go do the thing and figure it out yourself.
Make the idea. At least get the prototype done first. You remember the movie Robots? Matthew McConaughey was the main character. It was a little robot who was an inventor, wanted to go see Big Weld. Big Weld was this guy.
I remember Short Circuit.
That's even before that. So Robot was an anime.
Robots is before Short Circuit, or Short Circuit?
No. Short Circuit is before Robots. Robots was earlier 2000s. I'll send you a link to it.
I'm looking while you're talking.
Yeah, it's a story of a young robot who was trying to be an inventor. He had invented his own little thing and just wanted to get it to the big guy so the big guy could take it and mass produce it so it could help people. Okay. He wasn't looking for funding. He was looking for support. Unfortunately, the drama in the story of it, of course, is that the big guy was no longer there. Some other dude came in and was, he was the antagonist, et cetera, et cetera. But he did it himself. He made the first one and did his best to perfect it before he even took it to the person. So he had a concept that he could prove. And like you said, there's a lot of guys, I got this great idea. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
I can scratch shit out on a napkin too. In fact, I've done it for 3 businesses. 2 of them did okay. 1 failed, whatever. But money comes when you have something that actually works and can actually make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This same shit happens in real estate too. Everybody's like, I got to buy in buyer's list. Go get a deal. You get a deal, the buyers are they always show up. You will never miss when you have a deal sitting in the wings.
Yeah.
It's kind of how it works. I wish more people would understand that.
Yeah.
So what's new and what else is new that's going on in your world, brother?
One thing that kind of stands out lately is doing what we're doing now. I've always kind of been a giver and a networker, but it was just kind of my nature. And then I would just kind of do it passively. And then I've really lately started to quantify not only obviously the financial impact is nice, but just the relationships. And the last 2 months or so, 3 months, I don't know, just all in on just freaking talking.
Yeah.
Like not going in and being like, how can you make me money? How can I make you money? Whatever. It's just like, what are you doing? How's it going? What's new? And it's been super cool. I've met a lot of really great people, and I feel like my network has like doubled or tripled just in the last couple of weeks, just from being like, what's up?
You know what's you bring up a really good point, because there's been a solid push for that, especially on like LinkedIn. Everybody's like, well, you need to get to know people, and all the business sales guys are like, no, I need to sell. And I'm like, bruh, you ain't gonna get shit. You keep pushing like that, dude. That's just not how it's working anymore.
Yeah. You
need to talk to people. I've actually I'm still getting here I got, like, even for my birthday, I got you a discount on this cool thing. And I'm like,
so the favor that's really lining their pockets.
Yeah. It's like, dude, first off, I don't know you. Secondly, how do you know what you got? I need. Yeah. We haven't talked. So but there are a couple of people that are online that are teaching the right way to do this. Obviously, they're info products and they're coaches, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm no coach. So what they got doesn't work for what I do.
Yeah.
It's a little different. What we do, in fact, we have to talk to people. Our relationships with business owners or decision makers cannot be just sales. And it's not so much about the know you, like you, trust you thing. It's we need to know whether or not we're going to be able to do anything with them before we can do anything for them.
Well, in addition to that, like we were saying earlier, like, do I even want to work with them? Yeah.
Do I like you? And it's funny when you throw that on somebody. It's like, what do you mean? Do you like me? I'm like, yeah. I have this.
Pay
thing.
You money. Well, I don't care.
Listen. I'm appreciative of Ben Franklin like anybody else. However, Ben isn't the personality I'm dealing with. It's yours. And if we don't get along, how long is that Ben Franklin gonna last?
I've said no a lot. I'm gonna, as soon as we hang up, I'm gonna make another no with that other client. But
do it. I'm standing by you on that. If they got any problems, don't call me. I'll troll them all day.
Yeah, I'll be like, Michael said no.
Yeah, Mike said you're out. I'm out.
No, I actually had a really unique experience when I was kind of in my company's earlier days.
Mm.
I've always been very respectful and aware of the importance of time with my wife and kids, and
Yeah.
but it was harder to say no. I would say no, but it was like more traumatizing when I would do it
Yeah.
in the early days. But I remember this one time I went with a local guy. This was when my agency was smaller and we were doing more small local business. And he was a roofer.
Mhm.
And he's like, can you just stop by my house? And I was like, sure, whatever. And so I walk in and he's got like trophy kills all over his wall. And I'm like, what did I just walk into? And I walk in and
Congrats
he
on your room of death.
yeah, I walk
Ace
in
Ventura.
and he locks the door behind me.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm done.
And so we're sitting on the couch. So instantly I'm like, okay, am I going to go through the window out the back door? Like, and so I have this conversation, whatever. And we're talking
You did
about,
have your car safety deal, right? So you can just punch the window in case you don't have to jump through it.
I have my concealed weapons permit. I think
That'll work
actually,
too.
I actually had it with me.
One in the ground, just on your way out. You'll be fine.
Yeah. So, it was super uncomfortable. I wasn't literally, I was nervous as fuck.
I'm
But
sure.
I didn't really feel like harm was on the table, but it was awkward.
Yeah.
And he was really like intimidating. Like he was very intentional in his words. And so at the end, like we're like, cool, I'll send you a proposal, whatever. Like we leave on kind of the middle ground terms. And as I'm walking out the door, thankfully he unlocked it. And he's like, he looks at the contract and he goes, "Is this your cell phone number?" And I go, "No." I go, "I don't give out my cell phone number." And he goes, "You're not that important." And I go, "No, but my family is."
Yes.
And that was the end of that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes some people begin to take their own self-importance a little too much. And I've actually, and I learned this from another old friend of mine, so I don't have communication with anymore. I don't know where he's at. But it becomes, it's really interesting. Now being 49, I've done a lot in my life. I've done some things that I'm proud of and some things that I'm not proud of. I'm not a flea on the back of society.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you so much better? What makes you think you're even the dog or the cat, whatever? Whatever the animal is. I don't give a shit.
The animal.
The animal. But what makes you think you're the actual animal? I mean, if you honestly believe you're the beast, it's going to be a real interesting wake-up call when the slap from the 500-pound gorilla comes down and you finally realize you're not all you thought you were. You might want to reconsider your attitude, because you'll get a lot more, and I'll run all the cliches in the world. You'll get a lot more ants with honey than you will with vinegar.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy, you could tell he had found some, he could obviously pay his bills, and he had a couple crew members, and so he wasn't broke by any means, but he was in.
That doesn't mean shit.
No, he was in. The house wasn't respectable. You could, whatever, but.
There's a lot. I mean, because I know guys like that too. Some of them are in construction, and they're rough around the edges. They're not that bad, but they're rough around the edges. But I know how to get around that stuff.
Yeah.
There's a way to deal with it. But when you get to that level, that's a no.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing that you realize is that it's like level of experience in business. You talked earlier about being an empath and like being able to detect how people are, and I agree. I can tell within 10 seconds on a phone call for the first time if I'm even going to remotely consider working with somebody. But what you realize is there's kind of like 3 levels. I'm just shooting at the hip here. Like 3 levels of business experience. Like level 1 is new, naive, whatever, like trying to figure it out. Level 2 is
the typical startup person.
Yeah. Then level 2 is I found some success. Now I'm arrogant. Now I think I know it all. And then so now there's I got a 4th level. So then the third level.
I saw that one coming as a
third level is like all right, I realize I don't know everything, but I'm going to figure it out, whatever. And then
It's
like
back to working. Yeah.
And then the fourth level is where your sweet spot is. Your fourth level, like the more successful people I know, for the most part, as long as they're not in a VC company,
right.
the more successful people I know, then the nicer and the more humble they are.
So I'll add on to that, and just to prove the point, I've run into a couple of people who are very successful. I don't get to talk to them that often. Obviously, we're not in the same worlds, but having met them and knowing their stories and understanding where they came from, I also found that the ones who struck it from nothing have a tendency to be even a little more humble. The ones that have reached level 4 that kind of had it handed to them, it can go either way.
Yeah.
The ones that I do know, my gosh, they are just the most awesome people to sit down with. And even if you don't say anything, their energy is just cool to be around. And it's not
like you just feel comfortable.
Yeah, you do. It's like, I'm just hanging out with a bud. You know, it's not I'm hanging out with Mr. Rich Man who makes way more money than I do. It's no, I'm this guy's like me, and I can hang out and have a dram and have a cigar, or, you know, just chill with a cup of coffee. It's the ability to sit
There's
with
no expectations.
There isn't. And that's the best part. There is no expectation. Because when you sit with level 2,
yeah, what are you worth to me?
that's the only kind of questions you're ever going to hear. You know, it's never going to be about, hey, how's the fam? You'll never hear that question. You'll hear questions like, you know, I was looking at this thing. What do you think about it? I don't. You know, my partners I'll do that with, but it's usually either it's preempted with, are you all right? Yeah. Okay. I have a question. Or I have a question. Okay. Everything else good. What about this?
That is worse than them just giving the question.
Yeah. At that level, it is. If you're not taking a genuine interest with, and this goes both ways, client or vendor, if you're not taking a genuine interest in the person, why are you in that relationship? That's, forgive the analogy, but it's like going down to the red light district for a fun time. Dropping $100 and saying, well, you know, my wife always gets mad at me when I spend $100 when I spend thousands on her every day. Me spending $100 one time. I know that sounds wrong, but think about it. I mean, am I off?
No, I got one more. Maybe we'll start wrapping up here. I got to bounce in a minute, but I got one. I got one. I don't remember where I heard this. This could have been something I read. It could have been a blog post. It could have been a video. This could be very well known. I don't know. But I remember hearing the story about a guy that found he had a relationship with some super successful guy. So guy A had moderate success. Guy B was freaking Jeff Bezos. And so the guy A flies to, I'm pretty sure this is a public story somewhere, but guy A goes to meet with guy B at his nice beachfront property, and he's got every window and every door wide open with the AC full blast.
Oh, geez.
And guy A goes, why are you running the AC when all the windows are open? And he's like, because I like to feel the breeze. I'm like, fuck yeah. Yeah. You do you, man. You run that AC and feel the breeze.
That's right. And be nice and cool breeze too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I don't know where I'm going with that. It's just
you know what? That's called doing you. That's really where that falls into, and that's what we should all be doing anyway. All right, guys. So we're gonna wrap this up. We're actually a little over our normal time, but man, thanks for coming and hanging out on my birthday. I really appreciate
birthday, you old son of a bitch.
Yes, I'm an old SOB and DOM. You can figure that one out later. Wait till I hit 50. Once again, if you're not following Damon Burton on LinkedIn, follow him. He posts some killer content. I'm usually reposting his stuff as well as some other great people that I follow. And if you have anything on, you have anything on your website, you're not getting enough traffic, you might want to pay a little bit of attention to what Damon talks about, because he kind of knows his stuff.
Yeah, and no sales pitch. I'm not sending you to a funnel. I'm not
Nope.
sending you to a landing page. I'm
Nope.
not sending you to
In
an
fact, he
email
just
list.
drops the fucking answers. That's the best part. He
do.
drops the answers and expect. If you don't know it, you can always reach out. The man knows his stuff. If you can't find them there, you can find them on SEO National, correct? .com?
SEOnational.com. I post some entrepreneurial, so all the SEO stuff's on SEOnational.com. DamonBurton.com also has some SEO stuff, but it's also just
that's the entrepreneur side, yeah, and that's also good content, guys. If anything, this is a new friend that I'm very thankful for, and I look forward to having you again when we get another update after another round of insane shit happening, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, let me throw your listeners one freebie.
Go for it.
I did this book. You got the book.
Yes, I do. I got it. It's signed.
If they want to snag I have a free copy, freeseobook.com. Same thing. There's no upsell.
That's right. That's right.
You'll, on the thank you page, it'll invite you to a Facebook group, but that's it.
I lied. It's right here.
Ching. There it is.
With an autograph. With an autograph.
With beard envy, wasn't that what it said?
Yes, it was. And then of course Trent gets on the birthday wishes today. That was awesome.
He did. That was funny.
I so enjoyed that. That was classic. I got to talk to him again too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So for myself, Coffee with Mike, for Damon Burton, thanks for listening. Stay up, stay safe, stay healthy, and live. Take care of each other. Ciao for now.
For more information on Java Chat, visit www.javachatpodcast.com. You've been listening to Coffee with Mike on Java Chat. Tune in weekly to this podcast for the next episode. You can also download or subscribe today on your favorite podcast platform. A production of Oasis Media Group, LLC. Located in Las Vegas, Nevada. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.